Hi, my name is Kang Tran, and here is my answers for the fourth case connections, or case connections for Unit 4. So I chose to answer cases 1 and 3. So for the first part of case 1, I said that the best way to diagnose or to distinguish the two would be to check the plasma glutamine levels, because in urea cycle disorders you can see an increase in the amount of free ammonia, and because of the higher amounts of ammonia, the body will start to produce more alanine and glutamine because they're non-toxic carriers of alanine or of ammonia, and they'll try to transport it to the liver to get it detoxified and before excreting it or putting it through the urea cycle. Meanwhile, beta oxidation, it doesn't have anything to do with alanine or glutamine, so you shouldn't see a increase in levels of those two in beta oxidation. And for the second part of the question, from the lab results, we can see that there's a elevated orotic acid levels, which tells us that there's a excess amount of carbamoyl phosphate, because carbamoyl phosphate triggers pyrimidine synthase when there's an excess amount of it outside of the cytosol, and triggering pyrimidine synthase creates orotic acid. So this tells us that there may be a deficiency in ornithine transcarbamylase, because normally what happens in the mitochondria is that ornithine binds with carbamoyl phosphate to make citrulline, which is shuttled out of the mitochondria and into circulation to be taken into the liver. And if there's a deficiency in ornithine, then that means that there'll be excess amounts of carbamoyl, and that'll leave the cytosol to enter, leave the cytosol to bind with pyrimidine synthase to create orotic acid. So from this, we can say that the enzyme that's deficient is ornithine, and that the enzyme that's least likely to be impaired is carbamoyl phosphate. Now for case 3, I said that the first part of the question, the cause of gout seems to be because of the decreased urinary excretion of uric acid, because lab results tell us that there is a lower amount of uric acid being excreted compared to a normal human being. So there's that. As for why the other two options isn't supported by the data, well, we can't really say that there is a decreased amount of salvage of uric or of purines, because again, we should be expecting more amounts of uric acid in his bloodstream if there was, but because there's so little being excreted, we can't say that it's doing its job. And then as for overproduction, I mean, this doesn't really show that it's being overproduced. I mean, again, we're seeing lower amounts of uric acid in urinary excretion. So if we were to see overproduction of purines, we should be seeing more uric acid in his body. And as for the second part of the question, so switching from diet soda to regular soda means that you're drinking or you're ingesting more fructose, and consuming more and more fructose will produce more and more purines in the body, and more purines will mean that more uric acid will be produced in the body, and that means it'll increase your chances of developing gout, and that's not what the patient wants to develop. So yeah, that is my answers to all the questions.